Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna. And today I have another card to show you how to make your own glimmer paper. And this one is going to show you two different techniques. I'm going to make this pumpkin, and we're going to make this beautiful leaf. And like I said, they're both two different techniques, and they're very, very simple. So I'm going to show you how we did that. So the first thing we need is a strip of Very Vanilla. And this just needs to, I used scrap paper, I didn't want to cut anymore. I just need to have it be long enough and wide enough to be able to cut out 3 of these ovals. And this is the smallest oval from the Layering Ovals framelit set. And with my pumpkin pie re-inker, what I'm going to do is going to open up my pumpkin pie stamp set. And I'm going, a stamp pad, excuse me. I'm going to drop a couple drops of re-inker in there. And with my aqua painter, which I filled the barrel with water, I'm going to squeeze a little water in there and pick this up. Make that. You can certainly, instead of using the Very Vanilla, you can use watercolor paper if you want. But I'm just going to scribble this onto my paper. And it doesn't really matter because I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to make it glittery, so you'll be able to see some of the lines but not all of them. And it is a pumpkin. A pumpkin is not perfect. Okay, so there we have that. Let me clean this off. And here is my paper. Now before I make this into a piece of glitter, I want to dry it a little bit. I don't want it to be wet because then when I peel, go through the process of making it glitter, it's going to peel apart. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it off camera. I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm just going to heat this up a little. I'll be right back. Okay, so my paper is nice and dry. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. And now I'm going to take a piece of the double-sided adhesive tape paper that Stampin' Up! Sells. It comes in a package of 12 sheets, 6 by 12. You can cut it to be any size that you want. And this one here I had, it's pretty much the right size. It's a little big, but that's okay. So I'm gonna, this is the top part. I peeled it apart. This is the top part. I'm going to put that aside. And then I'm going to take this one, my painted one, and I'm going to paint it side down, attach it to the sticky, and I'm going to press. And like I said in my video, my last video, it's important that you have the sticky side up and you're putting your paper into that, because if you had it this way and started pressing, this sticky side where it overlaps would hit your surface, your work area, and it would just make a mess. So now making sure I'm in there nice and tightly, and I'm just going to peel this away. Oh. Peel it away. Okay, there it is. Now I see that some of my orange is coming up. It might not have been dry enough, but that's okay because I'm making a pumpkin and it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to take my Dazzling Diamonds. I'm going to bring in a coffee filter to catch all of my residue. Stampin' Up! The only glitter that they have, which is current in the catalog now, is Dazzling Diamonds. However, on their clearance rack, there's gold and silver, and it's on clearance for $1.60. You really can't go bad with that. That's a great, so while supplies last, so I would suggest you hop on over and get some of that. But anyway, so now I have this paper, and I'm going to sprinkle it with my Dazzling Diamonds. I'm going to make sure I get that all over. It's kind of like when you're embossing. And like I said, because I'm cutting this out to be a pumpkin, it doesn't really matter that I don't have every piece covered. But if you were doing something else with it, you would want to make sure that you had glitter on all of it and that your paper was really, really dry before you applied your adhesive. So now I'm going to bring this back in here, and I'm going to bring this top piece back, And I'm just going to press that in there really good because I want all of that glitter to really be stuck onto that adhesive. Okay. And then I have a brush. It's kind of like a makeup brush I picked up at Scrapbook Expo, which is where I got my ideas about all these ways to make glimmer paper. So now I've taken that off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Big Shot and I'm going to cut out, die cut 3 of these. And you can see they're going to fit beautifully, and those little imperfections are not going to matter in the least. I'll be right back. I have my 3 pumpkins. Now I need to attach my pumpkins. I'm going to take the one that's in the center. I'm going to use Tombow because I find that Tombow is the best thing to use when you're trying to attach glimmer. So I'm going to put some Tombow right there. And this one here is the front piece. I'm going to put one on either side. Oops, stuck to me. Right there. Okay. I'm going to press this together. Because I used the Tombow, I have some time to play with it and get the shape that I want. Okay, so I'm going to press this, and if any glue oozes out, it's Tombow, it dries clear. Okay, and I'm going to put this aside while I put the rest of my card together. Okay, there it is. I'm going to put it right there to dry. I keep moving it. Okay, so now, I didn't even tell you what I have. I have a note card. This is Crumb Cake. 5 by 7, scored at 3.5, so it makes a note card. A piece of soft suede, which is 2 7/8 by 4 1/8, and a piece of Very Vanilla, which is 4 by 2 3/4. And I'll have these measurements on my blog. So now I'm going to work with the Very Vanilla one. And I'm going to bring in the new Buffalo Check stamp. I absolutely love this stamp. I'm going to lay that in front of me, and I'm going to ink it up with some Garden Green. Okay. Now I'm going to drop this in. I'm going to turn it this way because I have better inking that way. I'm going to drop that in there. I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to just press to make sure that I get a good coverage on all of my paper, especially around the edges. Okay. And now when I lift this up, I have a beautiful checked background. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my soft suede, and with the classic label punch, I'm going to just punch out a label in the inside, put that aside, and then with my snips, I'm going to cut out, just freehand, a little sliver that's going to be the stem of my pumpkin. All right, I'll put that aside. And now I'm going to mount this on this. And that's a good way to save yourself some paper. Okay? Because why cut more when you could just punch that out from the back? I'm going to drop that in there. Okay? Now I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of Garden Green. And I'm going to make that into glimmer paper as well. So I have a little strip of that double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to just attach that right here. I'm going to press that down nicely. Make sure I have, did that the wrong way. Make sure I have all covered. I'm going to peel this strip away, and now I have a piece of sticky paper. I'm going to bring in my scrap paper again with my coffee filter, and I'm going to sprinkle that with some dazzling diamonds. Drop that back in there. And I'm going to use this piece here to really push that glitter in there. Now, Stampin' Up! Does have some beautiful glimmer paper, and it's in very nice quality as well. But they don't have very many colors. They have 4 colors. They have rose, a sparkle, which is like a white, a gold, and a silver. And sometimes you just want a different color. So here are a couple. This card is going to show you a couple different ways that you can make it. So now I have this piece of green glimmer paper, and I'm going to take my leaf punch, slide that in there, and voila, I have a beautiful glimmery leaf. So now I have to start to put my card together. So now I'm going to start to put my card together. So I have my checkered background, and for this one here I used some crumb cake thick baker's twine, but the ladies used it all up at class yesterday, so I'm going to bring in some linen thread, and I'm just going to wrap that around a couple times. And tie a nice little knot. Let me just recalculate this. Oh God, my little arthritic hands. Oh, it's getting so tough to craft. I don't know what I'm going to do when the arthritis really hits in. So I'm going to tie a knot off to the side here. There, and now I'm going to attach this to my card base. Okay, I'm going to use a little snail, and I'm going to attach this to my card front. And now my pumpkin is nice and dry, and I have that little piece of that I had cut out earlier. That's going to be the trunk of my pumpkin. Now my pumpkin is nice and dry, and I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to use a couple Stampin' Dimensionals to pop my pumpkin up, and put those on the back. Put him right about here. Now I have that little piece that I'm going to make my stem with. I'm going to add a little bit of snail. I should probably use some kind of glue for that, but that's okay. And that goes there. And now I'm going to take my green leaves, put a little bit of little mini Stampin' Dimensionals on these leaves. I feel like I can't talk today. And I'm going to tuck this in right here. And now I have to just put my sentiment on. I have a scrap piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to change my sentiment. For this one I used Trick or Treat. For this one here I'm going to use A Little Hello, and with some soft suede I'm going to just stamp that. And again, I'm going to bring in the classic label punch, and I'm going to punch this out. But I'm not going to punch it out in the center. I'm going to punch it out off to the side there. See that right there? It's off to one side. I'm going to punch. Now I'm going to put this back in here. I'm going to line this back right up there. This is the hardest part of this whole technique there. Push that in. And when I have it at a spot that's just as far away from this side as it is that side, it's nice and even, I'm going to punch. And I'm going to put that onto the soft suede one that I had punched out earlier. I'm going to put that right, I want to put that in the center here. Push it over a little bit. And now I'm going to put another dimensional. I love dimensionals, as you can tell, on this to pop this up a bit. And I'm going to pop that right here. And there we have it. So here, this card shows you two other ways you can make your own glimmer paper. This one here, we just added glimmer to a piece of garden green cardstock. And of course, it's not the same deep shade of garden green, but it is a nice glittery shade of it. And here is pumpkin pie. I could have, in theory, done just what I did with the leaves onto the pumpkin pie. However, doing it this other way, where you painted it, you could do it in some, you could use that technique for so many different things. Let's say you wanted to do like an ombre effect of the same color. So you have your aqua painter and you're just going to paint until you get different shading. So you can take one color and make a piece of paper that has a lot of different colors. And you can see that on this one here, my sample. I must not have used as much re-inker as I did on this one, because this pumpkin is a whole lot lighter than this one. So there's another way to use, to make your own glitter paper. And I really hope you'll give it a try. I mean, playing with glitter is a little messy, but that's okay. We like to have fun and make a mess, right? So if you have any questions at all about this project, the instructions on how to make your glimmer paper, or any of the products used, please contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. And while you're there, I would recommend that you hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my weekly newsletter. And I do send out a newsletter once a week with a recap of all the projects that I post on YouTube, as well as information of upcoming sales and promotions from Stampin' Up!, and also upcoming promotions that I have that I offer my customers personally. So I hope you will check that out, and I hope you'll come back later this week where I have another card to show you how to do another technique to make some more glimmer paper. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.